Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of TeachTechPlay. I'm Eleni and I'm one of the hosts of the show. Tonight we have a fantastic lineup of presenters from around the world, and we are really excited to have them part of the show. Now, hopefully we've got 1 to 2 still jumping in, but if not, we'll still go on and we'll get the show done. That's the joys of running a live show. Now, before we get started, I'd just like to congratulate our episode 26 winner, Rebecca Glenton. She shared how she's doing STEM in her classroom with her students, which was absolutely fantastic. I know she gave me lots of ideas, and I've started those already before the end of the year, which was very exciting. But enough of last month's show. Tonight's show, we have, as I said, got some fantastic presenters here. And I just want to remind everyone to follow along using the hashtag TTPlay on Twitter, as well as the voting for tonight's show. So make sure you do vote for your favorite presenter. This can be found on our website, teachtechplay.com, as well as up on the screen and on Twitter. So make sure that you do get onto that and vote for your favorite presenter. There's only 3 so far, which is great, so the odds are in their favor. But as I said, make sure you follow along on Twitter, as that's where all resources and links will be shared out. Another thing before we get started is we're really excited to have one of our keynote speakers for next year's TeachTechPlay conference that will be held on Monday the 3rd and April the 4th of April at Ivanhoe Grammar School. So Matt Miller has joined us bright and early, so we do appreciate him joining us tonight. Now, let's jump over and I'll get our presenters to introduce themselves, but first I'll pass over to Steve.
Hello everybody, evening Robie and Matt, and to all our viewers. Excited because this is our last show for the year, and then soon we're going to tick over to 2017, and really excited about the upcoming conference, and especially to hear Matt speak and to even get a little bit of a sneak preview tonight. So excited for the show and hoping our guests join in at some time.
Yes, it's always fun organising these live shows with presenters, but I do know that they are coming, so it should all work out. First, we'll have Robie introduce himself. I was very privileged to meet Robie earlier in the year up in Townsville, and it's great to see all the wonderful things that he's doing up there. So, Robie, do you want to say hello?
Thanks, Eleni. Hi, everyone. I walked up and kissed Eleni's hand when I met her in Townsville. I watched TeachTechPlay, and I've been so impressed at this whole community that she's created here in Australia and around the world. But to introduce myself, I'm the IT administrator in Townsville. I taught for 20 years before I picked up this role, and my passion is trying to get ICTs to serve teaching and learning.
Beautiful, thank you. And yes, it was great to meet you. I'd heard lots about you, and it was great to finally meet you. And last but not least, Matt, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us where you're from and the time that it currently is?
Yes, I would love to, actually. Good evening to all of you. I have to say good morning for myself. My name's Matt Miller. I've been a career high school Spanish teacher, but I'm now doing professional development with different schools and school districts here in the United States, where it is currently 4:04 a.m. I was just joking with everybody when I signed on that it was about maybe 20 minutes ago when I actually woke up and my alarm went off, and I was so disoriented I didn't know what my alarm was or how to make it stop making noise. So, but I'm much more lucid right now, I promise. And I am so excited about being able to head over to Melbourne and to meet up with so many of you folks in April for the conference. So super excited to do that and to be here. Even if it's 4 a.m. for me, I am still excited to get to be a part of all of this.
Thank you, Matt. And we do appreciate you waking up and joining us. I know that this is the second time we've had you on the show, and you absolutely blew me away last time. And I think from memory, you may have taken out the crown as well, maybe.
Oh, is he going to go back to back?
Yeah, will you go back to back is the question.
I don't know. We'll see about that.
But huge thank you. And I know I'm super excited for you coming out to present. But let's get started with tonight's show, and make sure that you do visit the website. There, you can always catch up on past episodes and see everything that is there, as well as vote for tonight's Play King or Queen if I have to present as well in the end. So, Robie, we're going to jump over to you first. So let me know when you are ready, and I will start the timer.
Okay, let me share my screen. How's that?
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. Well, you can start.
Off you go.
All right. Look, sorry about the crazy sort of what do you call that title I've given this. It's a strategy paper that I've been working on here for the diocese, and that's where the names come from. Everybody's talking about learner agency, giving learners a voice, and teachers melding into their classrooms as facilitators. So I just wanted to have a look at 3 different ways in which students can cast their screens to the big screen. And that's what the focus is going to be for me today. So let's get started. Actually, before I start, I'll say it just seems crazy. We've got kids now with devices. They're 1:1 in many of our schools. They're connected. So the big question for us is, how can we use the fact that they're connected in a different way to try and change the pedagogies that we're offering? So let's see. 3 methods. Method 1. Method 1's doing exactly what we're doing right here. Now, trouble is, the moment you invite 25 kids into a hangout, you end up with chaos because there's feedback and everything else. So it's not recommended for inside of a classroom. But if you're prepared to get your kids into groups and send them out, and say you've got 6 groups of 4 and you send them to different corners of the school, it's a fantastic technique to use. Best of all, each group's going to appear on the bottom where our faces are. They can be checking in with you. And as you power walk to catch up with them face to face, you're going to be getting your 10,000 steps in. So that's method 1. Method 2, because I wanted to show you methods to use inside of your classroom, this one doesn't have all the issues of the interference and the feedback. Put your kids into a Google Calendar invite. At the moment you do that, your students click the 3 dots and they go to cast, and what they get to see, this window opens up on the left. They select whether they're going to cast a tab or their desktop, and then they get to see the calendar invite where you've invited them as a participant. The moment they click that, their screen comes, it fills the big screen. Now that's fantastic because you don't get the issue of interference. That's method 2. Method 3, not everyone has Hangouts enabled for students. So if that's the case, unfortunately, you can't have your 6 groups leave your classroom where you can be chatting with them down at the bottom, the way we're chatting. But you've got this option, and that is you've got to download Google Cast for Education from the web store. Once you've downloaded it, you press the button to open it. This grey window, thanks, Lenny. This grey window opens, and once the grey window opens, you've got 2 things to do. One is you've got to name it. So I've just named this one Robie. And number 2, you've got to decide who you're inviting to it. And you'll just select, a drop-down appears, all of your Google Classrooms appear in that drop-down. You pick the classroom that you want, and instantly those students now have got that particular screen that they can cast to. I mean, that's it. I just wanted to show you 3 methods. There was the Hangout, there was using a calendar invite, and there's using Google Classroom. Only Google Classroom will let you do it if Hangouts has been blocked for your students. I'm done.
Perfect, with 7 seconds to spare. Well done. Thank you for sharing that. It's always great to see different ways that teachers are using student agency, learner agency, and bringing them together. I know that Hangouts are great to use, as we love connecting with other schools, but just within your own school is always a great idea. And as you said, I'd never even thought of it if you had students doing group work around the school, that you could still have them touch base and still keep an eye on them. So it's great. Steve, I can see that you're thinking something.
I've got my thinking face on.
Yeah.
I'm really keen to pick your brain, Robie, because I find that we have this amazing technology that you can connect to Matt at 10 to 4 in the morning across the globe. Why it's not used more by teachers? Or do you feel, that there's a barriers to it? Like, what's it look like in your district in terms of take up with teachers?
I think it's incremental, isn't it? You've got to make sure they've got bandwidth. Now, we've managed to put like 100 meg to every school in our diocese, 100 meg or more, except for 2 where it just isn't possible. And even they've got 50 meg and 20 meg. So, and the one with 20 meg's only got 20 students. So it's not too bad. Once that's there, your students have got to have devices. And once that's there, people can start to experiment in the space. But if all of those things aren't seamless and ubiquitous, the experimentation just doesn't happen. It's too hard. And I still think we're in our infancy. That sort of infrastructure has only been in place very recently. And I think once teachers start getting into it, you'll find that there'll be an exponential growth in it.
Do you feel that? I like it. A man like myself. Do you feel that, because it's awesome to hear, like, where you send kids out to work in the school because you can connect remotely. Do you feel teachers still feel that layer of control is not in their hands when that's the case?
Steve, the answer is yes. I think there's people in every school where that's not the case, and it isn't your youngest teacher. Sometimes it's your teacher closest to retirement, where, in terms of their own maturity, they really don't mind not being in control. But it's easier for them. They've already got the respect of their kids, and their kids give them permission not to have control. So they don't hang off the ceiling, they don't hang off the fans, and it lets people actually explore and play with learning. It's a lot harder when you're trying to find your feet and you're trying to win respect as well as take risks. It's a difficult space for teachers.
Beautiful.
And I wanted to ask real quick if I could, Robie, and then I remember from the preview of this episode, this was one that I was really looking forward to. What could you give us maybe 1 or maybe 2 examples of some really neat things that you've seen kids do and then use casting their screens to kind of really push that learning process forward or open things up a little easier?
Matt, the whole casting of screens is going to be a big focus for us next year. We've only sort of discovered it recently and got it to work behind our proxies and things recently. So we've been playing with things like Chromecast, because that model that I've shown you still requires all the casting to happen from the teacher device. And unless the teacher has their main laptop plugged in and they're walking around with a Chromebook and they themselves are casting to their main device, they're still stationary. So we're just getting to the point where we're trying to get this message across next year and get people experimenting. Ask me in 12 months. I'll feel we failed. I'll feel we failed if people aren't jumping at this, because I just think it's incredible where you don't have to spend a cent and you can be doing this sort of interaction with your classes.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by all of it. This is great.
Yeah, Robie, it's great. And I think that's a big thing, that you've got past the proxies. That's always a big issue in our school system. So well done. And I'm sure if anyone else is wanting to do it, they'll definitely be tapping you on the shoulder to ask you how you got it all working. So make sure you do reach out to Robie. We'll keep moving on. Steve, you're up next, and you'll be sharing with us writing on the web. So I have no idea what this is about, but I am intrigued. So let me know when you're ready and I'll start the timer.
Okay. Let me just jump in here. All right, can you see my screen there?
I can see, yep.
Fantastic. So I love sticky notes and I love them in person. And I'm also really interested in the intersection between reading, you know, as we normally do with a book, and reading online, and the amount of reading that kids do online. And one of the guys that I work with sort of pointed me to this research, which is basically heat patterns of how, you know, people read when they're on the web. And basically what we do is we tend to read in an F pattern, where we'll read across the top and then we'll read straight down the spine like this, and maybe across, you know, if there's an image and things like that. And it got me thinking about how, you know, in this sort of era of, you know, there's so much information on the web, how kids can actually thrive. So one of the things that I discovered is this little Chrome extension called Sticky Notes. So Sticky Notes basically is this little extension up here, and you'll notice on this little website over here that I have sticky notes on my web pages. So I'm going to do some really, basically I'm promoting the conference. I'm going to click on here with my little shortcut. Oops, select that one again. There it is, sorry, that one there. And I'm going to add a sticky note. You'll notice that my sticky note will stay just there, can move it around, and I'm going to start typing in here. Learn how to spell to the conference. The great thing about this sticky notes is if I refresh this page, that sticky note stays there. Another great thing about it is that it's compiled keyboard over here. So I've got TeachTechPlay, and what it allows kids to do is basically to capture information, is to look for text that's in bold, or look for key messages, jot down their notes, and it compiles it in a little Padlet. Now, if I use one that I've used before, I can click on it and it'll expand all of my notes. Now, if I go back to this website, all of my sticky notes are still going to be there. Takes a little while to prepare. So what it allows kids to do is to basically write on the web and add sticky notes, and you have all of the content remain in that space. Pop up in just a moment. And it's just such a good way for kids to be able to organize their notes, pull apart websites, and it really starts to clean up the information. So you can also use it in conjunction with other things like Readable, where it strips out pictures, but it's a Chrome extension that I'm using extensively with senior kids when it comes to finding really good resources and then being able to collate them. So I thoroughly recommend checking out Stickies. And if anybody else has got some cool sort of sticky noting resources, please share them, because it's, with the amount of information that our kids are sort of being put through these days and the amount of clickbait that's on websites, it's really, really important that we give them strategies that allow them to thrive, and also to just be able to collect and determine what actually is relevant information. So that's me.
Done. 20 seconds to spare, Steve. Well done. I must say that's pretty cool. I do love sticky notes, and it amazes me how it's always been there just in Chrome, and I still write things on little sticky notes. So, and I know I've shared in the past, I think it's Post-it Plus, I think it's called off the top of my head, an app where if you have got all Post-it notes, handwritten ones, you can take a photo and it automatically digitalizes them for you with the text on them, and you can scroll through them. So that's really cool, Steve. I know I'm going to definitely be using that one.
So I'll show you that website, Eleni, that I just clicked on because I selected the wrong one. So let me just bring that up. So that was the D-School website, and you'll see that those sticky notes just popped up there, and you can move them around anywhere. You can actually even get this little pin thing that allows them to stick on every page of a particular website. So it's got a load of functionality, and it's really easy to use. Like there's little shortcuts with Control Q can bring up a new one. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little thing, you know. I think that's a little extension. So yeah, check it out.
That's really, really cool. Really cool. So thank you for sharing that, Steve. Did anyone else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I ever since Google took its research tool away, you know, where kids used to on the fly collect all of their links. Well, I reckon you've hit on something that sort of replaces part of that very effectively.
Thank you. Do you know what's really interesting, Robie, is I discovered, I work with an educational literacy guru in Deb Sakana, and she was educating me on nonfiction and fiction, and she was talking about, you know, using sticky notes. And I thought, oh, I'm going to go away and do some research, because there's got to be a way with all of the technology we have available that you can do something in that space. So that's kind of what led me to it. But I mean, you need these things like with Google Apps and Chrome. Like, it's such a powerful browser. To have that, you know, just that extra little tool to help kids out is brilliant. Yeah,
and I wanted to say real quick that this reminds me, of course, a lot of a tool that I've been using for a little while that you all are probably familiar with. It makes me think of Padlet. Of course, you can use with Padlet, you've got that whole screen, and you can drop those notes on, and you can add images, and you can add links, and you can make that a really neat collaborative space for students. So you know, that might be a different way to do kind of the same thing, just another tool. But I think that the overall concept is a really good one.
Yeah, because on the iPads, Matt, I was trying to find, oh, please, Chrome, can you add extensions to the iPad, because that would just make life amazing. But basically doing the split screen with having your website open and having Padlet does similar things, and it's so easy. Drag it around and share it, and you can allow kids then to collect resources and share it with friends. So yeah, definitely Padlet is a really powerful little tool.
Yeah, we use Padlet all the time. We use it as part of our exhibition to get everyone who was in the room visiting to share their ideas up on the big screen while it was happening, and the parents absolutely loved it. And I can see Brett's just jumped in. So Brett, we'll get you to introduce yourself when you present straight after me, if you like. And because I'm not going to be very long tonight, so I'll quickly share what I just popped together, because we had a presenter not show up, which was okay. I know things happened, and I know Rachel was in between classes, so she said, hopefully I'll make it, but obviously she's been caught up, and we know this time of the year, being teachers, things always pop up. So
does that mean I get to talk twice as long?
No.
That's what I thought.
No, Brett, it doesn't work like that. So I'm going to jump quickly and share what I did today with my students.
I'm so excited for this, Eleni. So excited.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably only need a minute, but we'll see how we go. All right. So where am I? So here we are. Can you all see my screen? Yes? No?
Yep.
Perfect. So today I'm going to share with you Lego in the classroom and coding. So about a month and a half ago, I went to a conference, and I went actually with Dean Pearman, and we were sitting there in this session, and he said, have you seen WeDo? And I said, what is WeDo? And I had never heard of it before. And he said, it's Lego coding. And I was like, okay. So Dean and I sort of got together, and we started a bit of a competition. And what happened was Dean was a lot better than me, because he had obviously used it before. But in using WeDo, I discovered this way where students could play and learn to code in the process and follow that computational thinking in that process. So WeDo comes in these Lego kits, and I today had my year sixes. We've been working on exhibition for the whole term. So I thought, let's unwind a bit this week and let's experience a bit of, so every day I've got a different sort of tinker time, maker time session. So today it was WeDo and another one, which I'll show you in a second. So you get a box like this, and you use the iPad app WeDo, it takes you step by step. Now, WeDo is actually quite easy to use, and it's funny. It takes students step by step through, or they can make their own and then start to experiment. And Nick Spence, who we had on our show last month, has been using it with her year ones in Tinker Time. And they actually, on Friday, had their parents come in, and the year ones taught their parents how to make it as well. And I remember my year sixes walking past going, why do they get to do that and we don't? I said, we've been working on exhibition, girls. We will get to it. So here you can see they followed the steps and the process of how to put it together and then see if it works. And then what you can do on the iPad is you can actually code it to move and do different things, which is really cool. And you can add different components to make it do what you would like. So here you can see just some images of what the students created today. They simply just used the set templates, the process one that allows them to make it. And there was also the EV3. So WeDo is essentially for junior years, but as I said, I used it today with my oldest, with my year sixes, and they absolutely loved it. They were engaged, they were motivated, they were, you know, they're like, I feel like I'm little again, but I'm not, because it's actually really complicated trying to put it together and make it do what I want it to do. And then the EV3 takes the next step. So they've got a bigger modem, a bigger pack, and it's the next step of Lego. So they can manipulate, they can build, they can make their own, and it is just really exciting. You can see there a little bit. I didn't really take great photos because I wasn't expecting to do this tonight, otherwise I would have. But on the screen there, you may just be able to see where the student has dropped the coding. So it's similar to Tickle, where you drop the code in and you tell it what you want to do, and then it moves accordingly. So that's pretty much what my students got up to today, and it was really amazing just to hear the discussions, the problem solving, all those skills of how to do it. And it was a great activity for this time of year when, especially in year six, they're starting to switch off and starting to not really want to be there all the time, especially after we've just done a massive unit of work and they've shared that that's the next little part. So I really enjoyed that, and it was funny. A couple of the students this afternoon said, are we doing that tomorrow? I said, no, we're actually doing something else tomorrow. They're going, what? I haven't finished yet. You can't stop us. And I was like, okay, so I'll fit it in then. We'll find time. So it's just another way to introduce coding. The kits are expensive, so they're not something that you will just be able to have or get, but it is a lot of fun, and the students really did love it, and you can link it into many things. I know a few teachers have used it. I've just got like a couple seconds left. A couple teachers have used it for timing, for like warm up, and so let's get two groups, let's see how fast you can do it, and just to develop their skills of communication and interacting with others. So many skills were developed, and that was my quick little share of Lego, WeDo 2 and EV3. Done.
Well done. Eleni, what you've now had a little bit of exposure to it.
Yeah.
Where do you think, now that you know how it works, you would like to take it?
I think the next step would be to integrate it into lessons that we're doing. So creating problem solving it, so creating windmills, or depending what we're sort of linking it to our inquiry. Being at a PYP school, everything is based around inquiry, so just trying to link it into what we're doing and make it more purposeful and meaningful. I think that's my goal next year, now that I've experienced and seen what the kids can do. And I remember our ICT e-learning coordinator came through and he's like, you haven't even shown them. I said, no, I'm just going to see what they can do. They're in year 6. I want to just, they've experienced Spheros. Let's just see what they can do. And he came back 10 minutes later. He's like, oh my gosh, they've like they've like worked it out. He's gone. I said, I literally just showed them this is where the instructions are, go for it. And they just embraced it and did it. And I think sometimes as teachers, we have to just let them do it. If you don't, you won't really know what is the potential could be. So yeah, it was good. Any other questions?
Done.
Has anyone else used it or experienced it?
Well, I tell you what, I happen to know. Lucky I've got connections to Santa Claus, and I've got some connections in the North Pole. and I got an email from one of the elves that told me that my 2 young boys might be getting a wee do in one of their stockings. So I'm very, very glad to see that you played with it today, and I'm looking forward to perhaps being able to have a little play on Christmas Day or Boxing Day.
You might not be able to get a hold of it yet. I think some little boys might want it a bit more than you.
Yeah.
Brett, who doesn't? Does Santa follow the Aussie Ed hashtag? I bet he does.
Well, do you know what? I've met you guys. I would have a lot in common with Santa. We're both big.
I wasn't going to go there. I was so close.
We're both big boys. We can both got. Look at this. I've got a whitening beard as we speak, and we both work really hard. One day.
Brett, while you're talking, did you want to introduce yourself and tell everyone, and then you can start your presentation?
Yes. Apart from being a possible Santa replacement, just with the shaved head. So those people who know me, my name is Britts Salakas. So on Twitter, you can follow me as @Mr. Salakas. I'm one of the misters. There's lots of misters on Twitter. But I am involved with the Aussie Ed movement, which is obviously a pretty large Twitter chat and a way for us teachers to come and collaborate. Very proud of the success of Aussie Ed, and very proud of the way that it interacts and really has enabled global collaboration for anyone who wants to come in there and chat, learn, interact, etc. But I'm here today to talk about something a little bit special, something that is a little bit of an idea that a friend of mine, Rob McTaggart, and you can follow Rob on Twitter as well, as surprisingly as @Rob McTaggart. But what we've been working on is, as STEM became a topic that more and more teachers are looking at, we started to think about what were some of the hurdles for teachers to really be able to be more involved in STEM. And we came down to 3 things. One of the things is cost, because there are a lot of great kits out there, and we were just looking at the We Do then. There are a lot of great tools out there, but they can cost a lot. So if you're going to do something that doesn't cost a lot, you need to know what some of your options are. Now, if you don't know what those options are, how on earth can you actually get started yourself? So knowing where to start is a very, very big tool and a very big issue. So if you don't know where to begin and you haven't got a lot of money, what on earth do you do? And how do you make it genuine? So it's not just a flash. It's not just something that sort of has a few bells and whistles that you can do and say, tick that box, okay, I've done a STEM lesson, that's it. But it actually is genuinely and authentically linked to the curriculum and really involves proper, decent learning for the children. So they're the 3 big things. And what we thought, we would create another online collaborative movement, and we'd call that movement WorldSTEM. And what the idea of WorldSTEM is, and this is, I'm really genuinely passionate about this, and I'm really genuinely excited. It's not an app, it's not a tool, it is crowdsourcing the collective of teachers, crowdsourcing great teachers and great thinking, and really being able to say to people, okay, let's hear what your very, very best STEM lessons are. Now, if we could call out to the whole world, and the reason I've come on TeachTechPlay tonight is that we are launching this month. We've been talking about it for a little while, but December this month, we are calling out to people of the world, teachers of the world. If you have a great STEM lesson, capture that on video. Tell us what you've done. Make the video about 1 minute, 2 minutes long, and then share it with WorldSTEM. We're going to categorize them all. We're going to put them all up on one place, share them via YouTube. We put them there. And then, do you know what? We have one base where if you're a teacher and you don't have a truckload of money to spend, you don't know where to start, but you want great quality lessons and you want to hear from teachers around the world who are doing great things, you can come, you can have a look, and you can make a difference to the children in your class. And that's what WorldSTEM is all about. And I just think it's a great way for us all to unite. Hopefully, even at worst case scenario, if we only get about 50 people or 100 people share a video, there's 50 or 100 great STEM resources that teachers around the world can share. And I just think that's magic. And I'm hoping to be able to make that happen.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Brett. I know when you first launched WorldSTEM at the start, it was just after the TeachTechPlay conference, and I was wondering who it was. And I think what you've got there is something that a lot of teachers are seeking, and I didn't really get what it was until now. And I think where you're going is building that community of sharing those ideas where everyone is involved. I think it's absolutely great, and I'm glad that we could be part of it in the launch of it.
Thank you so much. And today's really, really special. We've done a slow burn to try and just get people's interest, a peak interest, but it's great to be able to get out now and really explain what it is. And like you say, I think the online community of educators are such positive people and like keen to be able to help and keen to be able to connect and keen to be able to share. And I think if we can utilize that collaboration, crowdsource those ideas, yeah, we might get 50 or 100 people, or hopefully maybe even more, but just think of the hundreds and hundreds of classes we can help and potentially thousands of children around the world.
Wow. Brett, what don't you do? How do you find time to do all of these amazing things?
Well, do you know what? I've got connections
You and
with
Santa.
I don't know if you mentioned before, so I've got this little time spell so I can travel around the world.
Look, it's so refreshing to hear an educator talk about open resources and sharing, and because the sort of culture of it's my intellectual property and it's mine, it's like opening it and sharing and doing all these things is just so refreshing to hear, and especially because a lot of people are interested, they just don't know where to begin. So congrats, mate. Well done.
Thank you. Well, you know what? You don't need to congratulate just yet because we're just starting. Hopefully, we're going to call out for about 6 months. So we're going to run for about 6 months and try and gather as many as we can. Looking for a few partners as well, as many partners as possible, to be honest with you, because we just want to echo this around the globe and help as many teachers as we can.
Fantastic.
Brett, do you have a URL that we can check out or any place that we can go?
That's a very smart option. That's a very good question. So our website at the moment is worldstem.co. So WorldSTEM as one word, .co. On Twitter, we have WorldSTEM EDU. And that's sort of at the moment, our Twitter WorldSTEM EDU is what we're really sort of tweeting out and what we're really trying to use. And the website is just not 100% ready to launch full public. But what you can do is you can actually register for our online newsletter, and we'll be sharing updates. And as it builds, we'll have more and more to share.
Perfect.
Can I ask a question, Brett?
Of course you can.
How are you, first of all? when we started. Brett, when teachers are uploading,
Yes.
is there a chance to meta tag it on the way? We're big on trying to get people to really link what they're doing explicitly to our curriculum. So one of the challenges you've got in Australia, each of the states, even though we've got a national curriculum, each state tends to respond to it differently. So even between states, the way people tag their work is going to be different. And you're talking international, so it'd be very cool if I don't know, the teacher who's putting it up there can tag it, and then when I download and reuse it in a different context, I can then put it up there and tag it again with the stuff that's my context.
That's a really cool idea. One of the things, like I said, one of the real challenges, one of those 3 challenges that we really want to focus in is how do we do a lesson that is not just a ticker box, not just a lesson that has a little bit of wow factor, but something that is deliberately, purposefully linked to curriculum and then purposefully linked to quality learning. So I think those generic concepts of good quality, deeper learning are common around the world. When I look at things like AEST standards and things like that, there are so many parallels. But I hear exactly what you say. I think it's a great idea. And the first thing I'm going to do is talk to Rob Taggart he is the tech man. He's the grunt or the machine sort of behind the outfit. I'm here for my good looks, apparently.
That's what I was thinking when I met you. That's why you were here.
That's it, brother. But that's a really, really good idea, Robbie, and I really appreciate anything we can do to make it better is going to be fantastic.
Thank you, Brett. Now, I know Rachel is trying to jump into this hangout and she's having a few technical difficulties, so hopefully we can get her in. And while we're waiting, we have got to Matt, which I'm really excited to see what Matt will be sharing with us tonight. I'm always excited. So Matt, when you're ready, you can start your, let me know and I'll start the timer.
All right, very good. Well, I will go ahead and share my screen also. Okay. So this is something that I'm very excited about and very passionate about. And I love being able to make learning visual. And I know that there are lots of brain benefits from being able to do that. I know that our brain already thinks in pictures anyway. And so whenever we work in words, we have to cross it over into visuals. And so one thing that I've really come to love myself as a professional and also in the classroom is the idea of sketchnoting or visual note taking. And so the idea here is that you can, kind of summarize and pull together the main ideas of something that you're learning, but also pull in some visuals. And it inherently makes it stickier in the brain. And one of my favorite tools to be able to do that is this app called Paper, and it's by a company called FiftyThree. There's an it's an iOS app, so you can use the iPad and you can use the iPhone to do it. I think they have an Android version in the works. And so what you see on my screen is the interface with Paper. And so if you want to be able to start sketching with it, all you do is you download the app, and you see at the bottom you have all of these tools. And so this first one is a fountain pen. So you can see as I draw slowly, it's real narrow. And the faster you go, the wider it gets. You've got a pencil, which really has sort of a graphite look to it. You've got a wide point marker. You have a fine point marker. And then you have my favorite one, which is the watercolor paintbrush. This was the one that really blew my mind when I very first saw it. And so you can use the eraser to erase whatever you need to. And then if you swipe over here to the side, you have some other tools. I like this fill tool because you can basically draw, the outline of what you want to fill in, and it will fill it for you. And then you can use the scissors to cut a specific part and then move it over to someplace else. And so those are the basics of how the app works. What I love about the app is that you can save what you have here as a JPEG image. So you can take your sketches and you can stick them into a document. You can put them onto a website. You can email them. There's so much that you can do with those. And so the neat thing about it is that you can use this to create visual notes, kind of like, let's use this one, kind of like these. And so this is one that I did on a book that I was reading. And so all I did here was, I used the various colors. One thing that's neat about it, if I come in here to edit, is that if I pinch out, I can zoom way in so I can get really detailed. And so that's how I was able to make some of these details. Now, when it comes to doing visual note taking, it's not about art, it's about ideas. So if you don't feel like you're much of an artist, even if you can get stick figures and even if you can get some real basic shapes and pictures on there, it has the huge brain benefits in that way. So it's a neat way to be able to organize all of these ideas and pull them into one place. Now I have to scroll down here and show you that while we were all talking, surprise, surprise, if you saw that my eyes weren't on the screen, I've been live sketching our episode here. And so, this is just me pulling everything together. You can see the little sections of everybody's different presentations, and I'm trying to make them visual by pulling in little pictures and everything. And so I'll finish this up and I'll share this on the TTPlay hashtag on Twitter whenever we're finished. So it's just something that I started doing myself. It's something that if you tinker with and you play with, you can get a lot better at as you go.
Wow. I wish I could sketch note like that.
I feel like this one's kind of sloppy. This is my 4 a.m. version of the sketch notes. So, but yeah, I mean, it's something that I started doing a couple years ago. I've got some practice in it and everything. But yeah, this is what I've been doing.
Are you using the Pro or just a normal iPad?
It's just a normal iPad. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And then you can do it on an iPhone too. It's kind of hard to sketch on the little bitty screen. I prefer using my iPad.
And you're not using a stylus or anything?
Oh, I am, yeah. And
okay.
The kind of stylus here, I'm going to unscreen share and then I'll share back if I can make this work. This is what my stylus looks like. It's really one of the little cheap ones. I got this on Amazon.com for there was 50 of them for $10 or something less than that. You know, it doesn't even take a fancy style. I've had a fancy stylus that connected via Bluetooth, and I didn't like it as much as I like this. Plus, I was always afraid I was going to lose the fancy one. And I ended up losing the fancy one. So now if I have to lose these, I don't mind. And I've got a whole big cup of them back here. So if I want to give one away to somebody, I can. So I just like the cheap styluses personally.
Pack one in your bag for me on your way out here.
Oh, you better believe it. Yeah. Yes, I will have them with me, definitely. So
that's amazing. I've always wondered, you know, how people get it all done and do it. And how have you seen teachers also using it, and kids particularly?
Yeah, I've used it in my own classroom some. Whenever we're learning new vocabulary in my classes, I'll let kids sketch. They're kind of like mnemonic devices, or I call them memory hooks, like little tricks that they can they can use to help them remember certain vocabulary words. And if they make them visual and put a whole bunch of them kind of all around the screen, that's one good way to do it. I've seen it for summarizing stories. Now, what I've been doing is I've been live sketchnoting. And so I've been doing this, you know, kind of in the moment, but it's hard. It's really hard to listen and process and sketch all at the same time. That's kind of like the top level version of it. But if you got all of your ideas down on paper and then later transferred them into a sketch, that's generally much easier for kids. I've also found whenever I've taught this to teachers that it's generally easier for them too. If I have them try to live sketch note, their brains kind of want to explode. So it's a little bit easier to transfer things over afterwards. So so it's a great summary tool, I think, for kids to be able to use, because that's kind of an important real life skill, isn't it? That we have all of this information, and if we can summarize it down into the executive summary or the abstract, the main bullet points, that's an important thing to do. And so this kind of forces you to do that.
Matt, that is just so impressive. I'm still gobsmacked I was looking through all of the ones that were flicking up on your iPad going, oh my God. It's really interesting, because I was listening to a podcast last week, and it was the first thing people have when they see sketchnoting is, oh, I can't draw. Exactly. So people should check out Napkin Academy and a guy named Dan Rome. And he does sketchnoting, but he shows people that if you can draw a square, a circle, a triangle, you can do sketchnoting, and you get better and better. And it's a really good intersection, because people will see your absolutely amazing work and just kind of go, oh, I don't know if I could do that. But it's a practice thing. So yeah, Napkin Academy is a really good place to sort of check out if you want to get started with it as well. That's just so good.
That's my goal for next year now. I'm going to work out how to do it. Good.
There you go. Yeah. Napkin Academy. I'll add that to the sketch and make sure that's on here. So thank you for that.
Perfect. Did anyone else have any questions or comments?
Matt, have you seen any student really come out of themselves given the opportunity to sketch their notes like that?
Yeah, there's been a couple of them that I've had that have really enjoyed being able to do that. It's really interesting, isn't it? How sometimes people will talk about how technology is not the silver bullet, and they'll try to downplay it, but really the kinds of things that you can do to open up a kid and to open up their creativity and to make them feel less self-conscious I mean, something as simple as using a back channel to talk instead of raising your hand and talking out in class can really bring out shy students. And then if you've got your visual thinkers, these are the kinds of things that really open them up. And so yeah, I've had a couple of students that have really thrived on being able to do this and make it more visual. This was one of their favorite things that we've been able to do.
It's amazing.
Wow.
So that brings us to the end of our show. Now, I'm just going to remind everyone the most important thing, and that is to vote for your favorite presenter. So I'm just going to pull up the voting slide again for everybody to make sure that you know who to vote for. Rachel was jumping on but had minor technical difficulties. So Google Hangouts, I know, had an update recently, and now it doesn't work. It didn't work on My School Network last week, and she's experiencing that problem now. So she apologizes for that, but we'll make sure that we get her on for the first episode next year. So make sure you do vote. Here is the link to vote, and follow us on Twitter via our hashtag TTPlay. If you have got any questions or want to reach out to anybody, just shout out to us on Twitter. We're happy to help where we can. Also, don't forget, we'd love to see you all there next year at our annual meetup now at the TeachTechPlay conference. And I know, Matt, after seeing that, it just excites me to know what else you've got planned to share with us. So very, very exciting, and I can't wait to see what else there is. And we might have to get you sketchnoting the sessions you go to, which will be really cool to see.
Ooh, I would love to do that. Yes, that would be fun.
And just so everybody knows, we would like to wish all of our TTPlay community a lovely Christmas and New Year. And we look forward to seeing you all on Monday, the 6th of February. We do not have an episode in January. It is our summer break here, so we do take that time off. But we will be back on the 6th of February for episode 28. So we hope that everyone has a lovely and safe summer break here in Australia, or winter if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, and we will see you in the new year. So huge thank you to everyone of our presenters tonight. And I know over the summer or over your break, check up on past episodes, because there are heaps of wonderful things there that you can catch up on. So from myself and the team, thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you all next year. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.